My name is Art Jones, and I'm your host. I'm the founder of the Art of Inbound Marketing and Art Jones TV. And on this Google Hangout on Air, we have the pleasure of talking to the founder of A Plus Consulting LLC, Helena van der Merwe. And Helena is with us now. Let's say hi, Helena.
Hi, Art. Thank you so much, and good morning.
Good morning. I had the pleasure of meeting Helena at an event in New Jersey. Gosh, it seems like a year ago now. I had the pleasure of being a guest speaker, and I have to tell you that the guest speaking event, I was very happy to have that experience, but I was more so happy when I met Helena because she is quite a dynamic personality with an international pedigree, a academic stellar record as an academic, and we'll talk all about that. So I won't try to summarize for Helena the story that she can tell about her background and how she's come to be in the interesting position that she's in today as the founder of a dynamic company, A Plus Consulting. But I thought it would be a good place to start is at the beginning. And I know I'm a fan of Elon Musk, of Solar City and SpaceX and Tesla fame, and he's in PayPal. He's quite a legendary, almost a Thomas Edison of our day, and he's from South Africa. And I know that Helena is also a fan of Elon, because he's a countryman of hers, because Helena is from South Africa. So, Helena, take us back to the early days of being educated at home in South Africa, and well, tell us a little bit of your story.
Thank you, Art, for that introduction. Yes, I grew up in South Africa on a farm in the northern part of the country. And Elon, I think, grew up in a town called Pretoria because I know he went to a boys' high school there. But South Africa do pretty well if you look at fellow countrymen around the globe. And I'm one of three kids. We're all girls, and I'm the middle one. My eldest sister is in Canada with her family, a younger sister still in South Africa. And I think growing up on a farm in South Africa when I did, had to get up very early in the mornings, 5 o'clock, to catch the bus to go to school, the last ones to be dropped off. Grew up without television, so up until today I don't watch a lot of TV. Love reading books and keep busy, entertain yourselves, sort of. So that's more or less in a nutshell. And I moved to the US about 13 years ago to work in the pharmaceutical industry, which I've done most of my career, and loved that. And now as an entrepreneur, developing products that can be utilized and innovate in that industry.
Well, I have to say that, what I find interesting, I'm from New Jersey, and I've always been an urban dweller, and as such, my experiences are very city-oriented, and I always envy people that grew up on farms because I think it instills in one a special kind of ethic or ethos. And the work ethic that you have to have living on a farm certainly would serve you well throughout your life. And the notion that in South Africa you did not have TV. There's another great personality that I've just recently listened to an interview, and Malcolm Gladwell, who's the author of The Tipping Point and Outlier and so many other bestsellers, grew up in Canada, and he really said that he didn't look at TV or even go to the movies until he was into his really early 20s. Because as a youth growing up in the country in Canada, his entire family would gather around the hearth and read books together. And there's something to be said for that, and I think a lot of people that are homeschooled today have the same kind of mindset, and the outcome for the children as they grow, the intellect seems to become much more developed, much more creative, much more innovative. So kudos to you and your family for picking up and imbuing you with the childhood that makes you the brilliant contributor to the business community that you are today. You talked about working in pharmacy, but you didn't say that you actually went through academia to become a pharmacist. Is that correct?
Yep, I studied pharmacy in South Africa and then carried on with a master's degree in pharmacology and started to work in the pharmaceutical industry directly after I obtained my master's. So I've never worked in a retail pharmacy per se, other than the couple of months I had to work, to get my degree. So I've worked in the pharmaceutical industry most of my career in various roles.
Well, I know that in one of your most recent roles in pharmacy, it was marketing, and pharma marketing is quite an involved and place. Is that where you began to pick up your sense for marketing and social media and other things that you do so well today?
Yep, I actually had the great opportunity to launch a business unit for Sanofi in South Africa, and had to launch 3 products, hire a team, and me and my team took it to a market leadership position in less than 5 years. So that's one of my achievements I'm proud of. And I also did my master's in business leadership early on in my career, and that really made me want to do more. And since I moved to the US, I focused on scientific communications and just attended a lot of social media workshops through the Business Development Institute and reading online. And last year I launched my own website and started to apply what I've learned. And it's really an amazing, interesting field for me, and that's, I think, how I ended up with NASA Social most recently, which was really a most amazing experience.
That's fantastic and fascinating. The trajectory of your career is most interesting, and I can see how it all ties together. Your interest, your acumen for leadership, having at Sanofi built teams and led teams in a very complex industry, I guess position you well to be the founder of Consulting LLC. Is A Plus Consulting the first entrepreneurial endeavor that you've had after leaving the corporate world and the enterprise?
No, in 2006 I resigned from Sanofi to start a wine import business. So I've imported wines from South Africa for 4 years, but during the recession I closed it because my wines were high-end, and the market actually changed. Consumers switched to low-end wines, or wines that cost less than $10 a bottle. So no, it's not the first time I do it, and I know you have to be persistent and just keep at it daily, and try and find a niche. I had some very unique wines I imported from South Africa, and worked closely with the vineyards so that they refer me to consumers coming back to the US where they can find it. So that was a good, learning experience for me.
Oh, I bet. And wine is such a competitive industry, and South Africa, I recall from my own wine tasting experience that in the last 8 years maybe, South African wine showed up on my radar, and some really, really high quality, good vintners and vineyards were producing in South Africa, and it's interesting that you undertook importing some of those great wines that I was very likely tasting at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one of the questions, I should take this offline, but I'll ask you now. Surely you have a few cases of that fine wine stashed away somewhere that we can maybe break open a bottle one day the next time I'm in New Jersey. I'll be sure to remind you to bring one to dinner when we meet.
Sure, I think I still have some Dimmersdal Pinotage. It actually got a gold medal at one of the wine tasting awards, and that's a fabulous wine. They're very well known for this specific variety, which is unique to South Africa. It's a hybrid between Pinot Noir and Cinsault, and Americans call it a smoky wine, but it actually pairs very well with barbecue and red meat, so even with desserts. So it's one of my favorites.
Sounds like something to look forward to. I'll be sure to remind you.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about A Plus Consulting. I know that strategic business solutions made easy is kind of a theme, but I'll let you give an overview of the lines of business that you serve, the industries that you serve as A Plus Consulting LLC.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the opportunity. I've been networking extensively in the technology field the last year, and met Judy Shift at one of these tech meetups who informed me about the Enterprise Development Center where my office is based. So I joined here in January this year, and being located at New Jersey Science and Technology University, I started to volunteer with career development services, helping students with resumes and interviewing skills, and then came up with the idea to launch a recruiting business. So through my recruiting business, I have a license also to do temporary hires, and I have contingency fee arrangements with 4 companies at the moment, and would love to really find companies that seek entry-level candidates, because the university is a great place, to find stellar candidates that can go out and work for companies hiring entry-level candidates. So that's my ideal situation in that setup, as well as I can do business with the government, and through my NASA social experience and past performance now, I think I'm a good setup as well to assemble social media teams for government agencies. Either I can manage them, or they can go on and work for these agencies. So in hand, recruiting social media. Then I'm also interested in developing a medical device, and I'm in talks with an accelerator at the moment to assist me to take it to the next level. I'm also talking to engineers to develop a new electric vehicle. That's something I'm interested in, and I'm seeking a mechanical engineer that really knows how powertrains of a car or a vehicle work. So, so send them my way.
Wow, that's an awful lot, but I have to say that I think it's brilliant that you first, through networking, and I know how dynamic networking in the tri-state area can be, and in Manhattan in particular, with so much going on there, Silicon Alley, and you've got the corridor between Boston really, and all the way down to the Research Triangle in the Carolinas, with so much activity that in New York, being the biggest city of them all, being kind of the nexus. So you leverage those networking conversations into becoming joining the incubator at the Enterprise Development Center at the New Jersey IT, NJIT. I think that's amazing. As I did a little research on NJIT, I see that there's only 86 high-tech and life science companies that have been asked to participate in this endeavor. Is that right?
Yeah, there are about 86 companies at the Enterprise Development Center, and most of them are in life sciences and technology.
I guess, and that positions you to be in this innovation zone, to be surrounded by these life sciences and technology companies, and now with A Plus Consulting LLC being a staffing and recruiting company, you have a ready pool of companies that are emerging from the Innovation Center that need talent that you could provide that talent to. But you also have those small companies that are being watched by the bigger enterprises outside of NJIT that you can have access to as well. So you get access to your colleagues and helping them grow their businesses by staffing and recruiting for them. But you get the exposure to the enterprise class companies in the region and around the U.S. That you can work with as well. So EDC at NJIT sounds like it's a perfect launch pad for businesses and for staffing and recruiting a business executive search. It couldn't be a better place to be.
I actually have not really explored that fully at the EDC because most companies based at the EDC also can participate in capstone-like programs at the university. Mm-hmm. So many of them actually get to work with students from the university that assist them with various projects, whether it's market research or you know, I myself, I'm part of the computer science capstone, use students to help me develop applications. So most companies here actually make use of that avenue to, you know, help students work on real-world projects, and maybe they become employees long-term of the company. Because if you're a startup, you know, resources are scarce, and one is always looking for ways to minimize expenses in the new lean startup paradigm. Since get experience is also a good way for startups, you know, to minimize expenses as they build their company.
If as a startup, if you looked at your day, week, month activity case, how do you parse out your time? Is it largely developing the business? Is it spent largely networking to help grow the business? Is it networking to find collaborators for the? How do you collaborators with the business? How do you parse your time out? As a startup, and if it was a pie, you know, can you define the different slices that go into your strategy for growing your business?
Yeah, you know, most of my life I've worked on meeting or exceeding deadlines. So, you know, I try to prioritize my different business units around deadlines. For instance, tomorrow is the deadline for ARPA-E submissions, which is open ideas through the Department of Energy. So today and tomorrow, that's on my mind, and that's what I'm working on, you know, to meet that specific deadline. I'm also part of Microsoft's BizSpark startup community, and am actively seeking an accelerator to help me develop two tools for the healthcare industry. So I'm putting emphasis on that because one of those platforms can actually generate revenue quicker than the other one. So I'm trying to put emphasis on areas where I can generate revenue for my business faster than, for instance, the medical device, the EV I'm interested in. That you have to meet deadlines if you seek government funding to be able to do it, but then once you've done that, you refocus on the other areas of importance.
So you've got the Department of Energy project, you've got a Microsoft relationship where you're collaborating with them on building the medical devices. It sounds like you've got your hands full with just those two initiatives, and no doubt we certainly wish you well. I know in my personal experience, healthcare is an interest of mine, and patient engagement is an interest of mine, but also something that healthcare as an industry is really trying to be more proactive about helping patients be more in control of their own wellness. And there's a lot of app development, a lot of mobile health development, as evidenced by the Apple Health Kit announcements, and Jawbone Up and Fitbit and the 1,500 other things that are out there and available. An interesting one that just was presented to me last weekend at an event that I participated in is called V as in Victor, C, S-E-E, V-S-E-E. And they have a platform very much like Google Hangouts. But what's unique about the platform is that it's HIPAA compliant. Because if you were my physician and this was a consult, this whole and any documents that we would share, any data that I would upload from my Jawbone Up would all remain private and confidential between you and I. So it's fascinating to me the types of innovative technologies that are helping disrupt the old healthcare landscape and invent the future of healthcare. So it's very fascinating, and I wish you well in that particular endeavor on the healthcare side, knowing that as a pharmacist, you have a particular, not just expertise, but perspective on what wellness and healthcare really means to patients. And I'm sure that your venture with Microsoft will bode well because of that. We chatted a couple of weeks ago, just to change the subject really quickly, but to another really fascinating subject, because you are involved in so many fascinating things. And you said you were selected to be one of maybe 25 individuals that had social media clout to go to New Orleans, was it, to visit a NASA facility at the Vertical Assembly Center. Can you tell us more about that interesting trip that I think you made?
Yeah, that was really an amazing experience. Since I launched my own website and blog and social media channels, I sort of live a big part of my day on social media as well. News feeds, that's where I get my up-to-date news, what's going on in the world, connect with new folks, engage with customers. So I happen to see that NASA actually does have a program where where you can apply for social media assignments. They have had about 85 of these over the last 5 years, and the specific one that caught my eye was in New Orleans at Michoud Assembly Facility and Stennis Space Center. Wow. Which was really an amazing experience because was a Thursday evening, we had 2 presentations, one by May and Roy Malone, that talked about the new heavy lift rocket and the facility center at Michoud. And the next day was really a big event with NASA administrator and assistant administrator Charlie Bolden and Robert Lightfoot, and a few other folks as well, with the unveiling of the Vertical Assembly Center, where they will weld, parts for the core stage of a space launch system.
Wow.
So it's really, yes, amazing, and to see where they test the engines. All the companies involved in space, even SpaceX, need to send their engines to this facility for testing before they can actually launch, a vehicle. So we were not allowed any cameras in that facility, but it's amazing, to be like a couple of feet away from these engines fire.
That's fascinating. And what an honor to be, one of 25 people that really got that close to the leadership team and the technologies that are helping us break new barriers and break new ground in the exploration of space. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it was, and we also had a session with NASA astronaut Pat Forrester. That was so interesting, to gain from his experience in space. He's done a few missions, and he sees keeping the human body healthy as one of the most significant challenges in going to Mars, for instance.
Wow.
Because apparently on the International Space Station they have to exercise 2 hours a day, the astronauts that work there. So it's an important aspect of the holistic approach of going to space.
Well, I guess fitness is important. We're supposed to get 20 minutes of cardio every day, and the notion that when you're in space you get 2 hours, it just shows the complexity of being in a weightless environment. And what you need how you need to train your body to deal with those conditions that are so foreign to most of us. As we wrap up, one of the things I think that your experience is unique, and that's why I'm so pleased that you were able to make time to chat with us today. And if you had one or two things that you could share with the world of startups and entrepreneurs just starting out, what advice, what tips, what direction would you share to help them navigate the challenges, to find the opportunities of startup life?
Yeah, I think that's an important question, Art. And my advice is to dream big. Go after what you're passionate about, and where you can make a difference. And so I just very often someone would tell me, no, you can't achieve that, or you can't do that, and I say, well, if I had to listen to some people in the past, my life would have been very different. So I believe in dream big, be persistent, go after what you're passionate for, and very often when you struggle with something, it's an opportunity to develop and design something new to make it work better. So that's how I'll define and how they can actually improve it.
That's good advice. I mean, I know in coaching sessions that I might have, I spend a lot of time with helping people find out why they want to be engaged in a particular business, because if they can't explain why that's important to them, then they're not going to be authentic about their commitment to doing the hard work that's required. And aligning your passion with the mission is so important. And it's funny, in the marketplace, we are so sophisticated in 2014 that we have this BS radar. We can tell when somebody's just compliant and they're doing something because they hope to get paid. And we'd rather do business with somebody who is committed to something and those people were happy to pay to deliver this product or service, because our BS meter says people that are compliant, they'll do anything for money. People that are committed are really passionate about the mission, and there's authenticity in that, and in authenticity we find trust, and trust is a key element in all facets of life, but certainly in business, something that helps deals get done, relationships get built, and businesses grow largely on trust.
That's true. And another important aspect is people. You have to have the right team to be successful. And that is where I'm at now, is because I'm the only person in my company, is to try and attract the right people, to work with me and make the product developments I'm working on successful, because that is an integral part of having the idea, but how do you go to develop it and take it to market?
Yes, and I there's a phrase that I'm often heard saying out loud in presentations and anytime I get the opportunity, and this is one of them. I always like to remember that whatever I'm doing, no matter how sophisticated the technology, how intellectual the endeavor, if you really focus on the notion that people always matter in every conversation, then you really end up doing your best work, because people are central. I mean, after all, if we're building something, a product, if we're building a service, it's built to serve people. And absent that mindset, you might be just building it for yourself, but that's not going to be so well, because the people that you serve is who you should be building for. Yeah. I've got another. It's a little poster that I have that is a reminder. It says, "Less tech, just be human," and it's kind of a cute poster, but it's a reminder that I've got a lot of gadgets around me now, and if I rely just on those gadgets, then I'll be a gadget guy or a gadget geek. But use the gadgets to make connections with people and get offline and have those eyeball-to-eyeball kind of conversations that build real relationships, then that will serve me well. And I know that you are the consummate networker, and I'm preaching to the choir when I say that, because I know that's how you operate, and that's why I think it's probably time to wrap up, because I know you probably have 1,000 things to do. And as your business grows and you get involved in more exciting things with Microsoft and NASA and Department of Energy, I'd love to invite you back to give us an update somewhere down the line to track your progress, as surely I know your business will grow, as everything you've ever done has been wildly successful. So keep us in mind. And to the audience, thanks for spending half hour, 40 minutes with Helena and I, and I hope you enjoyed it. I know I surely did. Encourage you to come back and visit us here at this Google Hangout channel. See what's new. Hopefully we'll be sharing something thoughtful, insightful, and compelling that will help you as an individual, professional, or a business owner. So grab your mug with whatever beverage, your tea, your...
My tea! I have my tea!
Cheers! your coffee, and get cozy, and join us again for another conversation. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you, Helena, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye.